Headline 5, Super Bowl in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Former Husker flavor, Cam Taylor-Britt, not in the Super Bowl. What am I thinking? Cincinnati.
Right.
I'm thinking Zach Taylor here.
Easy.
Jack Stahl and Ndamukong Suh. Cam Jurgens in the Super Bowl. And then DiCaprio Bootle, I'm not sure he'll be on the active roster, but he's with the Chiefs. So you'll have 4 Huskers in the game, potentially. That is the second most in history for Nebraska and players in the Super Bowl.
That's great. And I like the matchup. It doesn't seem to be generating a lot of buzz. I'm really interested in it from the standpoint of, we were telling Zach, Zach knew, but Philly's got 70 sacks on the year. How's that Chiefs offensive line going to hold up? How is that quarterback Mahomes? Is he moving around okay on a high ankle sprain? He can't be 100%. I like Philly I'm sorry, Sean. I hate to say it. I know you're a Chiefs fan, but I really like Philly to win the game. I just think they're ferocious. That's a ferocious defense.
People act like Kansas City's this like massive underdog. It's a 1.5 point spread. I mean,
who's acting like?
Oh, I just like when you pick the Chiefs, you're like, oh, like I'm like I'm picking like this major upset.
Right.
I mean, I'm picking Mahomes and Andy Reid. I'm a fan, but they've been there. This is their 3rd Super Bowl they played in together.
Yeah, Chiefs got pass rush too. Yeah, Chris Jones, who's one of the best linemen I've seen in a while.
If healthy, Kelsey and Mahomes are maybe the 2 best players on the field.
Yeah, I got to be careful, by the way, with Chris Jones saying he's the best defensive lineman I've seen in a while. I mean, he had one of the
record year.
Yeah, he did. Now thank you. 15.5 sacks, I think. And then the AFC Championship game, it seemed almost unstoppable late in that game. It was an eye opener. So he'll cause problems. And I talked about it on our radio show with Robin and Abby. That matchup against Lane Johnson, who's had an abductor groin injury, watch that early. I think they'll put Chris Jones right on Lane Johnson. And then Lane Johnson's got to prove himself early that he can hold up. That's one matchup to watch.
Isn't it fascinating, the 4 Huskers in this game as we look at them, their stories and their paths, how different each one is?
Yeah.
I mean, Ndamukong Suh is a Hall of Famer.
I think he could be, first ballot maybe.
Or second. I mean,
here's the deal with that, Sean. It's pretty simple to me. He made the all-decade team of the 2010s, which is an NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Prelude kind of.
Yeah, well, that's who names the team. And throughout the 80s, 90s, and et cetera, only 7 players that have been all-decade haven't made the Hall of Fame. Some haven't been eligible, but 7. That's it. If you make that all-decade, what I'm trying to say here is if you make the NFL all-decade team, an all-decade team, you're almost guaranteed to go into the Hall of Fame. And he made it. Suh made it.
Well, and his all-pro stat or his Pro Bowl and all-pro numbers would
5 Pro Bowl. I think 5 Pro Bowls. Yeah.
And I think the competition for his position as well. I don't know how many other guys are in his age group. Aaron Donald's younger than him, but he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah, he's valid.
We know that right now. Yeah. But he is up there as in his generation. And I know college doesn't count into this, but his college stuff he'll be in the College Football Hall of Fame. We know that.
Yeah, Suh, and the fact he's made Super Bowls plural helps. And in the last Super Bowl, he was a major factor. He had a sack and a half, was in the backfield
this
a lot.
This is his 3rd one.
Yeah, it's his 3rd one. And he was an impact player when Tampa won it. Impact. Now, and I imagine, we'll see what kind of impact he has on Sunday.
Well, I think his time in Detroit, unfortunately, did hurt him, kind of like Matthew Stafford. When you played for such a poor franchise, you're not on TV very much.
Right.
I mean, Thanksgiving, that's about it.
Yeah.
But how many Lions games, other than maybe when they play like the Bears or something, are not even that? I mean, are on here
very often. No.
So, but then you look at like Jack Stahl. Like when Jack Stahl left here in 2020, and I remember him at his pro day at his shirt off running. I mean, he wasn't in the combine. I don't think anybody ever like, oh yeah, we'll be covering Jack Stoll's in a Super Bowl.
No, I didn't.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable what he's done too.
And he's been a starter. And now he's second string, but he plays a lot. So no, Sean, I got to tell you, I didn't see it coming. I hope he's not listening. I did not see that coming. And we were just wrong. Now, Cam Jurgens, on the other hand, not surprised.
Like if I were like rank the tight ends at Nebraska, Austin Allen, Travis Vokolek, Jack Stahl, just on college play, you'd probably have Jack Stahl third.
Yep.
But he kind of fell between a coaching change and, other things too. So his career kind of was clouded and he got hurt his final year. I always thought he should have been a captain of the 2020 team as well. And he wasn't. I mean, he was a leader in the program and then got hurt in that 2020 season, but happy for Jack and what he's doing. Cam Jurgens, on the other hand, not surprised. He's in the NFL, but again, another one of these stories where it's going to be a guy that his pro career is going to be far better than what he did at Nebraska. And that
you think so?
What did he do at Nebraska? I mean, like as far as recognition.
Yeah, you're right.
He didn't get any recognition.
That's
I mean,
true.
it was all, and it just, that's the part that stings is like, man, this guy could go on to be like a high level NFL center for a long time. Kind of like remember Carl Nix? His career ended on injury, but he hardly did anything at Nebraska. And then he went on to become the highest paid guard in the NFL.
Yeah, at one point he was. And, he was a junior college transfer, so he wasn't, in the program for 5 years. He's a starter, but you're right. Yeah, people don't think about Carl Nix very often when they consider the all-time best Nebraska lineman. He doesn't get considered. Only here for a cup of coffee.
Incognito's the same way. He was great here, but the way it ended, I mean, throwing a desk through Bill Callahan's trophy case in his office, hasn't been back very often.
Yeah.
I would like to see Richie come back.
Yeah, Richie was an incredible player. I mean, incredible lineman. One of the most dominating linemen I've seen.
We got to get Richie on this show once. We could pull it off.
Yeah, well, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. We'll try that.
And then DiCaprio Bootle, Kansas City. Just a guy that's hung on. I don't know when he left here. I'm like, this guy will be a pro, like a long pro, but he's made the most of it. And he's always been fast. I'll never forget first time I met DiCaprio Bootle. I was in Doral City Park in Miami at a satellite camp. And there were like 1,000 kids there. And you go to a camp in Miami and you see the speed and talent there. He ran the fastest 40 out of 1,000 kids.
Oh boy.
And Doral City Park.
Yeah. That gets your attention. So he's a very fast technician. That's a good combination. Doesn't have a lot of size, but he's a gamer and he's a technician and he can fly. That might get you in the NFL.
I'll never forget that camp too. Like buses of kids just kept showing up. And I mean, there's more kids coming and there were college coaches working the camp in the middle of a city park in Miami. And
some of those kids weren't wearing football shoes, I bet.
Oh yeah. It was just unreal. But DiCaprio, his brother Joe White's in the program. I always found this fascinating too. His other brother played for UNO when the Mavericks had a football team. So all three of the Bootle brothers played their college football in Nebraska. How about that?
That's amazing.
From Miami.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the Eagles. I got the Chiefs.
I definitively have the Eagles.
What are we betting?
We can bet a pizza or something like that. We don't need a bet straight up money.
Wings. So how about some wings?
Wings sounds
We'll
good.
get wings up here.
Okay.
And we'll do it. And maybe Tanner's will do it for us.
Yeah, just straight up. Not even giving you any points. Just straight up.
Order a wings for the winner.
Okay.